Alright, I'm making this out of desperation too. I just called the Jacksonville Department of the FBI to tip them off as to who I think was actually the shooter and the accomplice. Now I had already tried to speak to the FBI one other time, and it was hard to actually get past to an agent. I spoke to the local Secret Service of Florida, and they said I was supposed to speak to an agent. So I called back, and they ended up letting me speak to an agent. I was able to tell them what information I had at the time regarding the second gas mask. Now, this time I call back, and I call over there because I want to tell him names of who I think was behind it. And he says, "Okay, please tell me what it's about." I said, "Sir, are you an FBI agent?" He said, "No, I'm actually whatever he was, like the front desk or whatever." And I said, "Well, I'd like to speak to an FBI agent. I have some details pertaining to the case that occurred in Colorado." And then he's like, "Well, give me some of the details and I'll transfer you over." I said, "Well, I have some names that I feel like could be involved in the shooting." And so he says, "Sir, you're just going to have to give me the names." He's actually stalling a whole bunch, probably talking to somebody. And I said, he said, "Sir, you're just going to have to give me the names." And I said, "Well, you know what? I don't really want to give you the names. I'd like to be able to speak to an agent. Are you going to let me speak to an agent if I tell you the names?" And he's like, "No, sir. Well, I'll hand it off to an agent." Now, this is a 24/7 deal. I called my local one, and they said they directed me to the Jacksonville one, which is 24/7. So I said, "Sir, I would, I said, what agency in this country is responsible for dealing with matters of corruption?" He said, "Sir, I'm not going to answer your questions." And I was like, "Sir," he said, I could transfer you over to the Colorado agency." I said, "Well, that's my concern, sir. I think that agency's been compromised." He said, "Well, that's a valid point." I said, "So I'd like to be able to speak to an FBI agent, sir." So he says, "Sir, if you're not going to," he just keeps on interrupting me when I'm trying to talk. He said, "Sir, if you're not going to give me any information, I'm going to hang up. I'm going to whatever." And he hangs up on me. And so I basically call back, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, you know what? There's got to be some way to hold these people accountable. So I call back, and he said, "FBI," and I said, "Sir, what is your name?" And he said, "I'm not going to give you my name." And I said, "Excuse me." I said, "Sir, what is your name?" And he says, if you don't stop, I'm going to call 911 for harassing the FBI." And I was like, you know what? I think an officer actually has to identify themselves. So, I don't know the details there, but I'm making a log of this.